just growing. It's just growing pains.
What's up, guys?
Oh, we're recording?
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
What's up? Yeah, I can just edit it.
That's fine.
What's up, guys? Another day in the life.
It's been a while. We missed, we were trying to, get together and then miscommunications happened. And one time I accidentally turned off my data and the Wi-Fi. And I'm like, what's funny is it says it sends. But there's a red bar at the top that says no internet connection. But I'm looking at the bottom and I'm like, I gotta take my kid to the doctor. Boom. And then I'm like, nothing. So that's funny, we kept going like this. We kept missing like this. So this has been a week and a half
Yeah.
in the making.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think people forget that you're an old guy, but
Yeah.
let them know about your messenger problems and we're
Yeah,
like, okay.
bro. I'm like, yeah.
He's got a learning curve.
Seriously, there's stuff where I'm like, I don't even know how that works.
That's great. All right, so we're going to start off today with a new segment. It's called Asking for a Friend. Sanchez brought up that apparently people use it the proper way and then the innuendo way.
Yeah.
This way, we're using it this way right here. This is the. So it's for me.
Yeah.
But basically, the first question is, well, I'll give it a little backstory to it. Is before we went on the hike, I had been in a rut, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
just mentally and just not doing what I'm supposed to be doing and eating like garbage. Still kind of eat like garbage, but
Yeah.
it's slowly gets better.
Yeah.
But after talking to you, and then we started doing the podcast and stuff, and so I've been a lot more conscious about all my behaviors and trying to work on things. But I noticed, especially, we missed that last week and a half, and
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know if I need to relook at videos, but
Mhm.
it's just, I'll sleep for 2 days when I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm about to have a baby soon,
Yeah.
I need to find money, I need to do all these
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
why am I wasting a day sleeping?
Yeah.
It's just like you get drained.
Yeah.
So my question basically is, when you get drained physically or mentally, how do you stay on that right path
Yeah.
for you?
I think a couple of things. One is rest. People underestimate rest and relaxation. So taking 2 days off, dude, because that worry's there. Here comes your kid, and you're like, man, I want to provide for my kid. I want to provide for my girl. I want to do all of this stuff right. So you've got this sort of ramped up thing that's coming in, and that's built into you on purpose so that it's just like for females with nesting. They want to get the home ready. Here comes the baby. They want to get everything right. It's built into you to go. It'd be like in caveman days. You're like, man, I got to kill 6 deer this week because their baby's coming and I'm not going to be able to leave as much. I got to take care of my wife, so I got to store up some food here so I can do my job. So that part is natural. The second is this rest and relaxation is awesome. Who knows, man? That might be the best thing you did. Taking 2 days, sleeping, getting rest. Now again, if that's what you're doing to avoid problems, now it's bad. So resting because I can and I need it versus resting just to avoid, then it's bad, right? So that's where you have to do some soul searching and decide, man, was I escaping or was I really rejuvenating? And rejuvenation is good. I mean, yeah, of course, we can always make more money. Of course, we can always do more stuff. We can have one more project, but don't underestimate rest and relaxation. It's good for you. It's good for the people around you. So again, it goes back to what's in your heart when you're resting.
Definitely. I think it's probably a perfect way to put it, because I don't know, I think most of these personal growth topics that we talk about, it's really just as simple of being conscious of it.
Yeah.
But it's people don't even know what am I supposed to be conscious of,
Right, right.
And so the way you put it, I think will really help with me, because for example, so since doing the podcast, we've been really trying to schedule everything from working out to what we eat to
Yeah.
what we have scheduled today.
Yeah.
What productive thing are we going to do for ourselves to
Yeah.
better ourselves?
Yeah.
And then we have a calendar where you just write it down
Yeah.
each day.
Yeah.
But it'll be Sunday, we'll write everything down, and then Monday is the day I decide to just sleep all day and just screw off my whole week. You know what I mean? And so from you saying that, it made it very clear, okay, I am avoiding my problems, Because it's different if we did everything we were supposed to do all week, and then Saturday comes and we don't have shit on the schedule, and we're like, oh, let's just sleep today.
Yeah.
And another tell sign that I'm just noticing as you're doing it is like how I feel after. You
Right.
know? If I worked all week and then Saturday I slept, I'll be like, damn, that was a good sleep. Versus like I didn't do shit all weekend, and then
Yeah.
Monday comes and I sleep all day, and then I'm just like beating myself up because
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing with your life?
Right. Yeah, and writing stuff down, calendaring stuff's really, really good. I do that all the time. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. I also have a notepad over there where I write down everything I'm gonna do for that day, or not everything I'm gonna do. I write down a bunch of stuff, and then as I go, I check them off. And sometimes they go in order, and sometimes they don't. But another thing you gotta do is give yourself some grace and mercy in terms of going, I'm gonna make this list, but this is contingent on having enough energy, having enough time, nothing else comes up that's more important. Now, again, there's, like, I have to go to work so I can get paid. I have to, help my kids with their homework, or go pick, like today our car got fixed, so I had to go pick it up from the mechanic. So those are things I have to go do because we need the car. So, I can't blow those things off. But even when I make my list, this is what I would like to get done today, and I'm gonna get as many as I can in, but I'm not gonna beat myself up if there's 3 left, 4 left, something like that. So, and again, it goes back to what's in my heart. Because you can do it with anything. That's why people drink. That's why people exercise. I mean, there's people with the gym right now, and we think, oh, health is great. Yeah, but they're avoiding their personal problems, they're avoiding their financial problems, they're avoiding their, right? So yeah, you got the physical down.
They're putting
but-
needles right in their butt cheek.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, it's not the
Yeah,
healthy
exactly,
way.
yeah, they're like getting their pump on. And so, again, it always goes back to your heart, your motivation, why are you doing it? And then being honest with yourself. One of the things that I think will help you and has helped me in my life is, so let's say I'm trying to eat healthy, and I mess up. Now again, on one hand, we're kind of like, whoa man, how'd this Whopper get in my hand? Well, or like you pull up, you're like, I'm just gonna grab something small, and then it's like 16 Whoppers for $1, and you're like, well man, I don't wanna lose money on this deal, like I guess I gotta buy all 16, and you're just eating them, and then you're sad, you're like, so what you have to be able to do is go, all right, I messed up, cool, I'm gonna do 2 meals in a row of super healthy to make up for that one, right? So that rather than beating yourself up, you go, all right, that's in the past, I messed up. So now, what am I gonna do to make it better? Okay, the next 2 meals for sure, I'm doing these, and I go shopping, I plan it out, I have it ready to go, so that I don't find myself in that situation again. The other thing I do is I look, what caused that? Well, I looked at my day and I went, okay, I went to school and then I had to go to the doctor's, and it was about 4:30 and I was super hungry. 4:30 is about when I eat. So I plan to have food around me that is good and fills me up at that time, right? So, or like lunch, I bring my lunch and I make it good and I make it a lot so that I don't feel guilty. I can eat all I want because it's good home cooked spaghetti or fish or whatever, chicken. It's healthy, it's good, and I can eat as much as I want and not feel bad about it. And then that staves off. Then I'm not trying to eat ding dongs or whatever. I'm not trying to eat junk food because I'm so stuffed full of good food that was healthy that I brought. That's not even a temptation. I can't. I'm like, man, I can't even do another bite.
So there's like 2 different points that I got from that. The one is, you're talking about how you're making up for the bad eating. And then what I was gonna say, which you kind of already stated, is like it's almost the same spectrum of like when you create that schedule for the week, and you're like, oh, I gotta give myself leniency of like, what if I have low energy this day, Me and my girl will schedule everything out, but our problem is it's like by the end of our day and it's dinner time, we're like, are you cooking? No. Am I cooking? No.
Right.
All right, well, I got $20, like what? And so
yeah.
we do that. And so I guess the answer for that is just, preparing ahead of time.
And 2, you, like I actually give myself rewards. So I say to myself, and especially when we were younger, when my wife and I were younger, I would say, let's say I'm working on my car. And I call the mechanic up and I go, hey, how much to fix my air conditioner? He's like, well, blah, 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 $1,800. I'm like, dang. I'm gonna fix it myself. It's gonna cost me about $500 for the parts, you know, and then I'm gonna pay myself half of what I saved, what I would have paid to a mechanic anyways. Half, same thing with meals. I go, okay, we would have spent about $16 going out. I'm gonna cook, and it cost me like, I don't know, $5 to feed us. And I'm gonna pay myself half of what is left over, so the $6 goes to me, and I literally give myself $6, put it in my pocket. And it sounds weird, and again, for the two of you, you probably split the money, but if you're doing that every day, $3 a day, times 7, 21 times 4, you know, you're at $84 a week. A month, 84 a month, that's $840 a year,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
you know, it grows, and so you start seeing real quick, man, this is worth it to me to cook at home. And instead of cooking every night, dude, you make a whole bunch of chicken on Sunday, or whenever's your easiest day to cook, you make a whole bunch, and then I'm having, like tonight, I just had chicken Caesar salad. I have the pre-made Caesar salad, chop up some chicken that I cooked on Saturday, and we had chicken with fried carrots and olive oil, and it was delicious. That was Saturday. Sunday, I had chicken sandwiches, sliced them up, mayo, mustard, lettuce, pickles, olives. Then tonight, Caesar salad, last of the chicken. So I only cooked once, ate 3 times.
Yeah, and that also helps the problem of like you don't get bored because
Yeah.
you're doing all these different things with it.
Yeah.
A problem I have with myself, because you were talking about how you don't have to worry about the portion if it's healthy.
Right.
I'm a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
You know, some people still need
Yeah.
those limitations. Like it, because
You'd be surprised though, like really good protein. So that's the difference between empty calories. Like you could eat, I don't know, 50 cupcakes, and you don't feel full. You'll feel sick, but you won't necessarily feel full because of the empty calories, and your body burns through them really, really fast. You're hungry just a couple hours later. But really good protein, man, it feels like you start going like, this is what it's like to feel full. Like holy moly, it's different, because I was the same way, eating processed foods or heavily processed foods and all the time. And again, I still have a Whopper. I still eat a pizza. You know, like it's a Friday night. I'm like, hey man, let's get a pizza. But heavily processed foods, those empty calories just, man, they just go through and you feel hungry again, either directly or a little bit after. But really good food, like really good chicken prepared really, really well, man, dude, you finally start going like, this is what it means to be full.
And I agree with you, and I think normal people,
Yeah.
that would be a thing.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Me and my girl, like, literally, like, chemist with the spaghetti. We're like, how can we use every single thing in the spaghetti and make it healthy?
Yeah, yeah.
And we got to that point where it's like, we're not using noodles, we're using zucchini and
Right.
spinach.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we don't even use beef, we use, like, ground turkey.
Yeah.
Make it as healthy as possible. And she'll do exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like a huge pot you can eat all week. And she'll have it like the first night, but then after she's like, I'm cool off spaghetti. Like it's not her thing. Versus me, I've like lived off spaghetti.
Yeah.
So it's like a thing that should last 7 days, I like murdered in 2 days. Each breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm eating like a mountain of spaghetti. Yeah, and it's, I don't know. Maybe it's just a conscious thing of like I need to like not eat just to eat. Because that's my problem.
Yeah, true.
sometimes.
Again, it could. Yeah, there's emotional eating, and then again, they talk about people that have eating disorders that, they're eating and they're sick, they're throwing up, and then they immediately begin eating again because it's not about sustenance. It's the emotional. It's the worry. So again, it's just like an alcoholic. They're drunk as hell, but they're gonna keep drinking because it's not about the feeling of being drunk. It's not about enjoying alcohol. It's about covering up a problem. So, yeah, of course, that can happen.
I noticed this like weird thing. My relationship with hunger changed from when I was like skinny versus when I am big. When I'm big, being hungry, the smallest inkling of hungry is an excuse to just like eat a meal,
Yeah.
Versus when I was skinnier, like I would have what you would consider like full on hunger pains, you know, like your
Yeah,
stomach's hurting,
yeah.
and then I would do a warehouse job and I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna pound like 3 waters real quick,
Yeah.
and then I won't eat
Yeah.
for like half of the day
Yeah,
just
yeah,
off
yeah.
those waters.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, felt better versus
Yeah.
like, now just gotta take a nap after I finish eating every time.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a salad. If I
Right,
ate 3
right.
bowls of salads, I'm like, all right, I gotta go to sleep. My body has to digest this.
Yeah, and again, you know, when you're in better shape, when you're healthier, just your machine just runs better. You function better, and so I think that's part of it. I think you're realizing, man, and again, nobody is ever 100% lost. I mean, we've seen miraculous changes. Now it gets harder. It does. The older you get, the harder it gets. So it's better to start when you're young. But anybody can turn it around, and it's just a little bit at a time. It's really sort of going, okay, when I have setbacks, I'm gonna forgive myself because there's nothing I can do, man. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you go, dang it, I messed up again. What's the point?
I'm this way, and I
Right,
just keep
boom,
doing it.
right.
Yeah.
Rather than going, all right, I messed up. That's not who I have to be. That's not what I have to continue to be. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Because even if let's imagine I go, crappy day. Next day, you know, in terms of eating. Next day I do a healthy meal, and then the next day I go, nah, crappy day again, and crappy for so out of 7 days I only ate healthy ones. Well, it's better than 7 days of crappy eating. 1 out of 7 is better than 0 out of 7. And now I can go, okay, next 2, and then I can go 3, and then maybe I plateau for a little bit. You know, I can only do 3 days, and then man, I just can't handle. Okay, and then 4, and then 5, and you got to find the motivators. I think, you know, it goes up and down for everybody. I stress eat just like anybody else. I've had bad, you know, spells just like anybody else. For me, being really competitive, whether it's wrestling or just, you know, my sons are getting bigger and stronger, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta work out. I gotta legitimately try to keep up with them because they're just going like this, and I'm like, right. So, whatever's your motivator. And when my first son was born, and each son, I sort of said, man, I want to be around. I want to see my great grandchildren. I want to be able to do things with them. And so it became a huge motivator to go, okay, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do better in my finances. And that's okay. It's okay to have an external sort of motivator that becomes internal, where I started going, man, it feels good to be in shape. It feels good to be healthy. Now, again, I'm not the healthiest dude out there. People can run hundreds of miles, and I can. But, you know, yeah, I can run, I can fight, I can survive, and that's sort of the thing that I use as my motivator. You know, I'm into prepping, I'm into wrestling, I'm into self-defense, and so I go, okay, to be able to do those things, I got to be in shape, right? To do them well, to be excellent at them, I need to be in shape, and so that becomes part of my motivator.
Yeah, and I don't know, because I've had this like spectrum of like being skinny versus being big, being skinny, being big, I ask myself that constantly of like, what is my motivations? What gets me going to wrestling practice for 2-3 hours a day and drop like 60 pounds versus just like sitting around eating, getting up to like 280? Like what is that like different thing? And I would have to say that it's like at some point, and I don't know where that bottom is, but eventually I'm like, I just don't want to be this way. And it'll be serious enough. It's almost like you have to motivate yourself enough to see that first result.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to like snowball it into more.
Yeah, once you grab that first rung, you're like, that wasn't that bad. Like, I don't know, it's like those fire escapes when the ladder's kind of high. If I could just grab it and pull it down, man, I can start. So that's it. That's you're sort of going, I can make that first milestone. You know, man, maybe I can make the next one. Who knows? Now, there's been dudes, again, there are people who run marathons. First time, they're just like, you know, they sign up as a joke or a whatever, and mile 1, they're dying, but they make it to mile 2, make it to mile 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, you know.
Did you see the Joe Rogan podcast when, you know Ari Shaffir? Okay, well, he's one of Joe Rogan's friends. He always is on the podcast.
Okay. I
They're,
probably
they're
have
all
seen him.
comedy friends,
Sure.
right? So it's Tom Segura, Ari Shafir,
Okay.
and Bert Kreischer with Joe Rogan.
Okay.
They're just all comedian friends, and they'll do like little challenges, right? And so the challenge was because Bert Kreischer, he's like one of the heavier ones out of them.
Okay.
And so Ari Shafir has a father that's like 90 that was in the Holocaust, and he does marathons. And, and his time was like right under 6 hours for a marathon or something like that. And so they were like making fun of Bert Kreischer. They're like, you can't beat him. And,
I can't beat him, man.
And so he did a marathon with
Wow.
zero training.
Yeah.
And he did it in like 5 hours and something.
Oh,
like a
dang.
savage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks.
Right. I mean, there's just story after story of these incredible human feats. Recently, some lady fell off her cruise ship. They don't realize it for like 10 hours. She's out in the ocean in Norway, freaking
That's nuts.
just treading water. And in her brain, you know, they talked to her and she's like, well, I just knew I had to make it to the next hour. And then I was super exhausted and I said, well, I got to make it to the next 30 minutes. And then I was super exhausted. I said, I got to make it to the next 15 minutes. And she just kept doing that and kept doing it. And they came by and boom, there she is in the water, treading water. Now they got her out and she recovered. She's fine now. And
That's
well,
nuts.
yeah, I mean, it's like, man, human beings can do more than they think they can do. If you have the will to survive, if you have the will, if you just say, I'm gonna do this, and you sort of just, you know, I don't even know how to explain it, just knuckle up, just like, I'm gonna do this, dude. This is happening. I'm making this happen. You'd be surprised what you can do. I think, you know, that's what makes that Coach Carter speech so great. I think we're afraid of how brightly we can shine. I think we're scared because then what it does is it goes, I'm gonna have to face the regret of I wasn't everything I could have been sooner. But we gotta let that go. We gotta sort of go, yeah, okay, whatever, but I can be better today. Like I can, and if I can do today, then I can do tomorrow. And if I can do tomorrow, I can do the next 10 years. And that's how success is built. That's how improvement is built. You have to be okay with facing the past and letting it go. And then, okay, today, right now, this hour, I'm gonna change this way. I'm gonna get better. That's how you do it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because like I agree completely with the Coach Carter thing because I feel like I'd use that excuse for like with music and stuff of like, oh well, I'm not doing it every day, so if I'm not a famous rapper, I'm like, it's because of that,
Yeah.
Or like one of my friends, he's like my go-to when I want to just vent or I'm just being down.
Yeah.
He's not even a motivator. He's more of just like he'll listen.
Yeah, like a soundboard.
Yeah. So, like a month or two back, I'm like telling him down on him. And one of the things I was saying is like, oh, well, when I was in school, I weighed this much and I was doing these things. I was doing that. He's like, that's not you right now. He's like, if you want to be that person, you can. He's like, but crying to me about it isn't going to get you there. Like he was just hella real, but it actually got me out of my funk a little bit because I'm like, I had that realization of like, all right, who cares if I become a famous rapper? Like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is like, I want to be better than yesterday
Yeah.
or today,
Yeah.
and just like constantly doing that thing.
Yeah.
But, so another question, because, I would say my soon-to-be child coming is definitely a motivator, but there's like those times where, and it's almost like the self-fulfilling prophecy you were saying, where it's like, I tell myself this is my motivation, I'm going to do it, but then the minute I don't do it, I just beat myself up for not doing it and just like create that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the question for you, asking for a friend,
Yeah.
is when you had your first kid, well the first question is, when you had your first kid, the closer it got, were you like excited and like relieved, or were you like nervous?
I think a little bit of everything, man. It goes in waves. Like, there's one day where you're like, I got this. And the next hour you're like, what am I talking about, dude? I don't have anything. And like, what are we gonna
That's my
eat?
life.
How am I gonna freaking, and what's funny is older people used to say this to me all the time, whether it was my mom or older mentors and people that I knew, they'd be like, it all works itself out. And I'm like, listen, Tom, that may be great for you at 50, but here I am at 21, and I need help right now. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me that
I've heard
everyone's
it
gonna
like 30 times.
Yeah, yeah. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me that it's all gonna work out. I need some concrete steps here, bro. Is you're gonna go in waves. You're gonna have moments where you're like, I got this, and other moments where you're like, what am I doing having a kid? I remember the big panic moment was we were being discharged from the hospital, and I had just put the car seat in the car, and I was sort of like, I hope I did this right. Like, I don't even know if I did this right. And so I had to like stop and take a deep breath, because I'm like, I'm gonna kill my kid on the first day. Like, we're gonna get in an accident, my kid's gonna go flying through the windshield, and everyone's gonna be looking at me like, what the hell, bro? You were supposed to put this in correctly.
You're like, wait, you buckle the
Yeah,
seat
yeah,
to
like,
the seat?
yeah.
I thought you just strap it over.
Now, I think you gotta have some preparation in advance, obviously. So I had to I literally had to stop and go, wait a minute. I took a class on this. Like, I took a class, a parenting class, and they showed us how to do this. Why am I not remembering in this moment when I need it? Well, it's because I was panicking, dude. I was flailing. It's kind of like a person who's drowning. Everyone can float. Everybody can. It's the panic. The drowning person wants to get their head above water, and actually what they really want is to be out of the water. So they start moving their hands and feet and panicking and they're like trying to be like an Olympic swimmer and get their whole body out, and that's what tires them out faster. That's what causes them to drown. And some person who comes to rescue them, they start to grab them and climb them, because all they can think is, I want to be out of this water. And so it's the same idea. I was panicking in that moment, and I forgot everything I had been taught and trained. And so I had to just take a deep breath. I had to stop and go, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I remember now. And I got my knee on it, and bland, I got the strap, and there's the anchor. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And you know, you just go a little bit at a time. When you feel yourself stressing, you gotta go, okay, did I prepare for this? And the answer should be yes. But if it's no, then you go, okay, I might, like in today's world, man, I might have to sit and say, hold on, honey, and watch a YouTube video on how to install my car seat. Like, I messed up not being prepared in advance, but that doesn't mean I just wing it or give up or...
Feel like it seems sturdy that time. It's fine.
Yeah. Just hold the kid in your hand. It worked in the 70s. So that becomes it. You kind of have to... Whatever you didn't prepare for, you got to suck it up and add it in that moment.
Wait, can we acknowledge, like, I don't think it worked in the 70s.
Well, no, yeah.
They did it in the 70s?
Right.
I wouldn't say it worked
Yeah.
in the
If there was
70s.
an accident, you were flying through that windshield.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's why they instituted the rules, because they were like,
I did not know that was a thing.
oh yeah. I remember my mom just holding me in her lap, and it was like there was no law. There was no law for little kids, for babies. Now, some people did it because they were rich enough, or they sort of feel like, oh, it's better if they have a car seat. But hey, you just sort of...
Yeah, that's crazy to think there's like wasn't seatbelts in like the 50s.
Yeah,
And then it's
yeah.
like
Yeah, they were optional.
at this point.
They were
Yeah,
optional.
that's crazy.
Yeah, now they're required.
So I guess another aspect, because I agree with you on the preparation aspect of it, because I was like thinking about how, like, okay, it's only like a month or two away, we don't have nothing, you know, like hella worried. And then we had our first baby shower, and like after we both did kind of have, you know, we set some things up. She's super nesting right now.
Yeah,
She's been
yeah.
doing it like the last month.
Yeah.
Because we bought the bassinet, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bassinet?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. We bought that like right when the baby shower happened, and that was probably like a month ago or so. She's like every day just like, so when we set that up, I was like, when we get room in here, like, can we? But eventually I set it up, and it's surprising that, you know, each thing you notch off, like I set up the steering stroller, and then
Yeah.
the car seat,
Yeah.
set that up, and then there was like, even if it's for like 10 seconds, there
Yeah.
was just like that relief of like,
Like,
okay, maybe I'll be
yes.
alright, maybe I
Yes.
can do that.
And that's it. Okay, so parenting is really just going those 10 seconds at a time. It's
Like that chick swimming,
panic,
just
panic,
like-
yeah. 10 seconds.
And just focus the next 10 seconds.
And, yeah, you know, by your third kid, you're just like, whatever, bro. Like, as long as they don't come and ask for a gun or a knife, yeah, go play. You know, you'll be fine. Like, it's the first one you're going to freak out the most over. And You're gonna think you're the most. There's gonna be two. It's funny. There's two polar opposites. On one hand, you're gonna be like, I'm not prepared. On the other hand, you have all the culmination of all the human knowledge in baby raising, baby safety, baby that's ever been known to mankind available at your fingertips. And so on one hand, you're going to think of yourself as the most advanced parents to ever parent. You're going to think the 70s were, what were you doing? You cavemen? You didn't even have like a high class formula or whatever. Like whatever the deal is, I don't understand how parents survived raising kids in the 70s. And at the same time, sheer panic. Just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is crazy. Man, I wish, it's like, I have to study and take classes and to become a truck driver. Pay thousands. Yeah, here you go. And you're just like, wait, what? This is crazy. There's nothing. It's just me and my wife and me and my girl, and that's it. Boom. It's crazy.
So, and this kind of brings me to a point that I never wrote down, but I'm just thinking about it with you. I think there's like a really fine line of consciousness of like being conscious enough to know you're not doing something right and doing it, then to be like, so just like you're talking about where you have all this information on the fingertips for the child. Like, for example, nesting mama over here is like looking all on the internet about everything. Like, okay, you can't have no lunch meat because there's bacteria on it or something. You gotta put it in the microwave or something because it's not healthy. But then like things that in the 70s they wouldn't worry about at all.
Right,
It doesn't matter. Versus now it's like we're all stressed out. Like she'll have a Slim Jim and then like halfway through like, I'm killing my baby. So it's that, and I have that problem with myself, like on the side of like the consciousness thing of like, on one part I'm smart enough to realize like this isn't working or I'm not where I want to be and I have to change it. Or overconscious of like, you're thinking about every situation and then you get overwhelmed and you're just like, oh, I'm never gonna, be that famous rapper or something. And you let it deter you from doing anything. Yeah. Because you're being logical, but that's really, I don't know. Sometimes positivity is better than trying to work out every nook and cranny.
Yeah, and two, like, I don't know, man. I having lived a really long time, there's been times in my life, seasons of my life where I'm like, I wish I had more money. Right? I wish I had more money. And when you look at our country versus other countries where people make 33 cents a day working their asses off, and their children get kidnapped and taken and forced into an army where they're hopped up on drugs and handed an AK, and you don't even see your kid ever again. And it's like, bro, I'm lucky. Like, no matter how bad it gets, super, super lucky where I'm at, what my life is, and my children have a better life than I had when I was a kid, and that's really important. And you cannot put a monetary value on being a good parent or being a good person, because we've seen, just recently that guy who murdered his wife and 2 kids, and they had a nice house, they lived in a nice neighborhood, he had a nice job. From the outside, everything looked picture perfect. The dude's having an affair, they're filing for bankruptcy, credit card debt, student loan debt. So, a lot of people would have looked at their lives on the outside and been like, man, I wish I had that. Man, I wish I was driving that truck, living in that house, married to that girl. Or again, the other way around, girls thinking I wish I was married to that dude. No, you don't. So, right? So that's that idea of it's worth all the money that's ever existed to be a good person, to be a good husband, a good dad, a good friend. It's worth all of it. Like, you could gain every piece of gold that ever existed, but if you lose your soul, if you're not a good person, what does it matter? What does it matter? It doesn't. People have chased that and find themselves empty. Now again, having money is nice. Like, not worrying about where my food's going to come from, not worrying if my bill's going to get paid. It's nice and it's comfortable, and we should want that, but it shouldn't take away from our moment right now and our happiness right now. Right there, just take for example, you're stressing and you want to be able to provide for your family more than you can, and that's always going to be there. By the way, you can have $1 million and you're going to want more. But the other thing to think about is there are people who they got hundreds of millions of dollars. They're wealthy, and they hate the person they're with. They hate their children. I remember one time I was a brand new teacher, and I was working this dance, and because teachers have to work events at schools. And another teacher I was talking to, he's a much older teacher, and he said to me, and so I had my oldest, my middle kid, and my youngest had just been born. And so my oldest and I, he's like 5, and we're talking, and we have great conversations. And he goes, "Do you like your kids?" I remember he was holding a coffee cup, and I'm right here, and he's looking sideways, and he goes, "Do you like your kids?" And I'm like, "What?" I say, "Yeah, of course. What are you talking about?" He's like, "I hate my kids. So I hate them." I didn't know what to say, dude. I'm like, sorry, like, I don't know, dude. He's like
CPS has a
yeah, clearly not, because I don't think he ever abused it. I ended up, it's funny, I ended up having his kid in my class later on, and the kid was messed up, dude.
Was he?
I mean, jacked.
I would imagine.
Yeah, he was jacked, and I was like, oh yeah, I know the behind the scenes on this one, or I had a little glimpse. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
To hate your kid, though, would inevitably mean you hate yourself.
Correct. Oh, I agree. He was projecting externally what was happening internally, and that's what I'm saying. Look, man, you're always going to want more money. You're always going to want to provide more, but don't let that take away from right this moment that you can go, man, I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be a better partner. I'm going to be a better dad, and I can do that a little bit at a time right now. I don't have to wait till I have $1 million. I don't have to wait till I have a house. I don't have to wait until whatever. I don't have to wait. It can be right now. Some of the best moments in my life have been, just super simple moments of being with my kids and talking with them and loving them and them loving me. And, having money's nice. Having security's nice. But if I had to choose, I would take the moments of the being a good dad, being a good person, being a good husband, I would take those.
Man, that shit resonates so much with me. And it's funny that because I was just asking, or I was thinking back, what were my motivations before? What are mine now? Our whole podcast is about being a better person. And I'm just realizing now, I forget that was my core reason and something that drove me for everything. It's just I cared that much of being a better person. And then at some point, I stopped being conscious of that. And that's where you, get back into that rut. Because trying to be a good person, you're not worried about, oh, how am I going to get this big house? How am I going to get this car I want? You're not worried about things you want. You're not feeding your ego. You know what I mean? When you focus on just being a good person, those other things will fall in line.
I agree. They're byproducts. And when I was your coach, I would say this all the time in the wrestling room, that I'm going, look, we could learn the cheesy, easy move, and you would win the match against the nobody wrestler, but I'm preparing you for divisions. I'm preparing you for masters. I'm preparing you for state. That I care more about you being a good person. In fact, I used to say that in the wrestling room. I'm like, look, showing up on time, keeping your commitments, working hard, trying your best. These are things that they transcend wrestling. Now, we're doing them in the wrestling room, but these things transcend wrestling. This is about becoming a better person, pushing yourself further than you thought you could go, not giving up, being there for your teammates. These are all things, being responsible for your gear, showing up on time, all of transcend wrestling. And that's why you can do it for baseball, you can do it for basketball. That doesn't matter. The vehicle doesn't matter. It's the lesson you learn. And that's really it. Whether I'm teaching English or coaching wrestling, the more important lesson is helping kids become better people, helping myself, because it makes me better. By the way, helping other people become better makes me better. So it's not like it's just give. I become a better person. When I push myself to be a better teacher to help my students, I become a better person. When I push myself to become a better parent for my sons, I become a better person. When I push myself to be a better husband to my wife, I become a better person. And so, it pays, dude. It pays to push yourself.
And it's funny, it's interesting that, like you're saying, with all the sports, or even with my dad, there's a bunch of these things of always be on time, have a firm handshake, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all these things. But even with him, he's like, say these things, and I'll be like, okay, why? I don't know, just do them, you know, like just angry I even asked.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the core of all those. It's
Yeah.
like to be the best version of yourself you could
Yeah,
be.
yeah. And too, I agree that they've been lost into sort of these,
You're supposed to.
right,
That's it.
just, yeah, just because everyone does, or it's because it, and you go, look, you know what's weird? I've actually spent 150 hours or more, probably more, studying being on time and why we should be on time. And it comes down to a couple things. Number one, I gave my word. I said I would be there. I should be on time. I gave my word. Number two, your time is just as valuable as my time. So if I said I would be there at this time, I should be there at that time or earlier, because every minute that goes past, what I'm really saying is your time is not as valuable as mine. That's what and it's a selfish thing. That's why people who are late, man, they're late all the time.
Yeah, they
Like
don't
if it,
care.
and they pretend, they go like, oh man, you know, and then they got an excuse every single time. However, if it really was chance, if it really was bad luck,
Wouldn't happen all the time.
wouldn't, at least once they would be early, at least once they would be on time. But for it to be consistently, what they're really doing is, number one, overestimating their own abilities, and two, underestimating the value of everyone else's time. They're going like, oh, you know, well, they'll wait, oh, they'll be there, oh, and even when they show up and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, deep down, no, they're not. They're selfish, and maybe they haven't faced it, so they believe their lie, like, I'm so sorry. But if it was really a chance, they would at least be on time once. They would be early once, but they're not, because they overestimate themselves. I can be ready on time. Oh, I got 15 minutes, that's plenty of time. No, you're wrong. You cannot judge time. You are terrible at judging time. If you're late all the time, you need to face the fact that you are terrible at judging time. And you gotta fix that, because that is something that makes you a better person, and it starts spreading to other things. Again, being honest. Like, that's something that's helped me. You know, I remember you asked me about that, being nervous, and how do you handle that. Of course I get nervous, but that piece, like being on time, being honest, man, what's the worst that's gonna happen here? What's the worst that's gonna happen? I might be a little bit embarrassed, but I know I tried my best. I know I gave it my all. I did everything I could, so even egg on my face, I'm like, yeah, so I know I gave my best. It stings when you didn't give your best. So that's why, like, losing a basketball game or losing a wrestling match, when you could have been better. You saw plenty of times where some kid lost a match, and they come and they go, what did I do wrong, coach? And I literally would say to them, well, you know what you did wrong? You did Monday wrong, Tuesday wrong, Wednesday wrong, Thursday wrong, Friday wrong, and then you're surprised at Saturday's results? Like, nah, dude, you've been messing around all week. You haven't been pushing yourself. Remember when we were running in circles and you were the slowest dude, and I kept trying to push you and you wouldn't? There's only so much I can do. In the end, you're the one that's got to step in the ring on Saturday.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not even gonna tell you you had bad form, none of that shit. It's like,
Yeah.
hard work. That's what
Yeah.
you did wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, again, our team, we weren't the greatest, but we would win in the third round because we were in the best shape. Our guys, we didn't get winded. We would make the other guy get winded. We wrestled hard and tough, simple moves that if you just worked them over and over and over and over, eventually they wore down because we were in better shape and we were just taking our shots, snapping them, pulling on them, but just over and over and over and boom.
What it makes me think about is like, because, you know, it was my senior year
Yeah.
that you decided to wrestle.
Yeah.
I wrestled probably since 8th grade, and I was 10 times better wrestler in 1 year than I was all those years.
Mhm.
And then another example is like my training partner Will
Yeah.
versus like freshman of the year Caleb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like you have this person, they have no skill towards it, you know,
Yeah.
they might not even be in the best shape.
Right.
But out of pure hard work, you're
Yeah.
gonna win that match that matters to you way more often than like versus like me and Will, right? So the last 3 years, our coach, you know how you're like, oh, I don't want to teach you those silly moves that are gonna get you to win. Sometimes it's like we would do what are those called? Like face-offs. You know how we do that?
Yeah.
and we'd exclusively be like, we're winning with the head and arm. One of us is winning with the head and arm. Like, and we just do that silly stuff all the time. And, you know, you were good at having fun too, but our coach is like, all right, let's practice 15 minutes early and play this dodgeball game because I'm trying to play it too. And it's like, that's not what's going to get you.
Right.
And I was, you know, I was thinking about, all right, how is Sanchez so good at, you know, being a wrestling coach, you know, from Capital Christian to here, I'm like, it doesn't matter the kids, you know, but you'll get winners out of them, you know? And it's literally that idea of like, you instill those traits of like working hard and being on time and like worrying about the valuable things because, you know, you'll notice that we had very talented wrestlers.
Yeah.
But because of not wanting to work hard, didn't get where they should have went.
Yep.
Versus people that had no skill whatsoever took it way farther just because they were willing to work hard.
Work hard, yeah. And you know, that really was my secret when I was coaching. My secret was I could take any average kid and I could make him go further than he ever could. Now, again, maybe he doesn't become state champion, but he's definitely go further than he ever could just through hard work. Just like, listen, you just got to do these 3 moves over and over and over. And because you're in good shape and you've worked really hard, and our wrestling room, I mean, there were times our practices were tougher than our matches. Like, this is garbage. These guys are wrestling like garbage that we were going against. Our room was the toughest. That's what I wanted. I'm like, I want this time inside the room to be the toughest match you have all week. So that when Tuesday rolls around and we have a dual match, you pin your guy in a minute and a half. I mean, there were times guys got pins in 30 seconds, and I'm like, you took too long. And they're like, what? I'm like, that dude was so bad, you should have pinned him in 10.
It's funny because, like, not even exaggerating, you literally work kids twice as hard as all the other coaches.
Yeah.
My number one example is you had JV and varsity, but you were like, you could show up to either.
Right.
You know? And the other one, that's not how it worked. You had an hour thing. And it's like, when you did it, you see JV practice where you're still working hard, but you know these kids haven't been doing it, so you're not like pushing them like crazy. But then varsity, you're like, if you're JV and you don't know what you're doing, you can come to varsity, but be ready to freaking work hard, you know? And just that aspect alone, it's like, it's almost what we've been talking about, where you're giving that opportunity of like, you can be better, you know? And because I took all those advantages is why I just dropped all that weight, got way better.
And again, I mean, it would have been great if you had gone to state championships and all that stuff, but notice you were in the best shape of your life. You were I mean, man, you were aggressive as hell. I mean, you had this mentality, you had this edge to you, and a lot of kids did, because you pushed yourself. You were like, I'm going to show up extra. I'm going to show up more. I'm going to do more. And you were one of the few kids, this is why our friendship lasted beyond the wrestling room, and other kids it hasn't, because you were always like, what can I do to get better? You'd be like, what did I do right, what did I do wrong? And where I would try to talk to other kids about what they did wrong, I could tell in their head, they're like, yeah, whatever.
They're making excuses instantly.
Right. Yeah, they're like, oh, no, that guy has way more muscles than me, or oh, he was a senior and I was a junior, or oh, you know, I'm not good with leg riders. I'm like, what are you talking? We talked about this, dude. We went over this.
I'm not good with
I literally knows this one.
No, I believe you. But I'm just like, that's the funniest shit.
Yeah, I'm like,
you mean you don't know how to defend leg riding?
That's what you really mean.
That's
yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, we went over this
man.
this specific move. And I remember you messing around. I remember you not doing your job. And so I'm not shocked.
When people say stuff like that, do you just like start laughing?
No, I mean, because they're still kids. And so if it was adults, I could.
You have to be
about it. So, I mean, because it's kids, I really do have to have like extra grace and mercy. And I have to go, look, man, we went over this move. I remember that. Do you remember you were wrestling with this person at this time and you messed around? Do you remember that? And they go, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's why today happened. Because when we were going over this, you weren't trying your best and you were messing around. And you paid the price today. So now you got some choices. You can get better, pay attention, do. And another thing I would do, remember we would have tough matches, and I would say, okay, this next day, you come to me with what you want to get better on. And that's what we'll work on. And the kids who never got better came with nothing. They would let everybody else come up with something like, oh, I want to work on this. Oh, I want to work on that. And those kids got better. They were the ones who excelled, and they would just hide in the background And I can't make them all. I mean, in the end, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink. So, and I don't have time and energy to waste on all the kids who don't want it bad enough. So that's why I focused on the kids who ask questions, the kids who, now again, you're always welcome. I'm not gonna turn anybody away. You know, everybody made it on the team. We never had any cuts. We've never had any cuts. It's all, you can quit, but I'm not gonna cut you. I'm gonna give you punishments. You might do 5,000 sprawls and quit the night before.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
You might do 5,000 sprawls and quit the night before the match, but that's on you.
In the idea of what you were saying with, well, this is like a possible business idea, just a thought of, I wholeheartedly believe you can turn any average person into like successful at whatever they're doing. Maybe not the best or whatever.
Yeah.
But what if, because we were saying before, maybe we talk to parents or kids or whatever, and we're like helping with personal growth idea, but we can do like, it's almost like a life coach of like, we'll help you. Like the core of what we want to do is help build those character traits that create good people, you know? So then, but inside of that, we can be like, okay, well, you're a volleyball player and you need to, well, we're not technical in volleyball. We're not going to teach you how to, you know, the best form, but we can like help with the conditioning aspect of it, and maybe not just the conditioning aspect, but the mentality and like, you know, how to just help people be better.
Yeah, I've thought of those things. The problem is that the world is sort of, because of marketing and because of the way the world works, like, it'd be a tough sell. If we went to anybody, they'd be like, again, like even in the wrestling world, if I tried to go coach at a college, any college, they would be like, okay, wow, did you win state? Do you, you know, and you're like, well, no, I didn't win state. And they'd be like, okay, well, did you do this? So there's these sort of things, and they automatically, they go, no, you're disqualified. You can't, which is not true. I mean, again, I think there's plenty of people I could out-coach.
So, in your opinion, the problem with it would be there's no solid way to show the consumers your results of creating a better person.
I think you could show the results, but it's a tough buy-in. That's why very often, like the NBA is doing this a lot, UFC is doing this a lot, where it's former fighters becoming coaches now. Now, not every former fighter is a good coach, and not every coach was a very good former fighter or player, but without those links, it's a lot tougher sell. It's just a harder sell. Now, I think it could happen. I'm not against it happening, or if we figured something out, that'd be great. Because I agree with you. I think I guess I did play volleyball in high school, but for 1 year. But like tennis, I never played tennis. I could probably take the average high school tennis team and get them to pass league. Like for sure pass league, probably the divisions.
This league, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, our
This is
league, our division 5 or whatever we are.
Shit.
For sure, league, and then divisions and maybe masters.
Yeah, and maybe the business plan wouldn't be the like, hey, we can make you an average tennis player to getting past sections, but it's more of like, we can help you be this better person, but you could be a better tennis player through the process. You know?
Right.
And we're not going to be like,
a good hook
hit the
because-
tennis back and forth, but we'll
Right.
be like, you need to hit these suicides,
Yeah,
you know, so
right,
many times a
right,
day. So.
right. And even just pushing I agree with you, the motivating the person, pushing the person would, the hook would be, we can make you a better tennis player, but really what the goal is to make you a better person, push yourself further, you know, and so yeah, I think that's possible, yeah. But the person has to want it. Like, I think that very rarely, like water finds its own level, so what'll happen is people who already know these lessons or take these lessons serious are already on a competitive team, paying for lessons, traveling to play, and so now again, that's what I like about high school sports and coaching. Again, when I was at Capital Christian, man, these kids are paying $15,000 a year to go to these schools and play sports, and so they're looking at like, I'm going to play for USC, I'm going to play for Florida State, and so they've got a plan that since they were born, their parents designed a plan that they were going to be, and this is just one more step. So I never had a problem with kids being late. I never had a problem with kids making weight. I mean, I would be like, you will be 135, and that's what they were. And when I coached at CASA helping Delgado, when I coached here, I had to convince kids and parents that it was in their best interest to make weight. It was in their best interest to be there every day, to, you know, and that's why I couldn't have cuts, because if I had cuts, I would have lost half my team. I would have lost everybody. Or if I had pushed too hard, too fast, before they could see the value, I would have lost everyone. Everyone would have quit. And so, you know, I think you have to get the client to buy into the process, and so.
Okay, so I just thought of a different, and we'll cut this
Sure,
short. We
yeah.
don't, but it's kind of like just adding a Lego to the idea of maybe this idea, because I've been throwing a bunch of ideas at you, doesn't work as well in a solo setting. Maybe it needs to be something where it's like a $5 entry fee, and there's only so many people for an hour
Yeah.
that we just help with.
I agree that there's something to that competitive people suddenly, yeah, you're right. If it was one-on-one, they're like, man, I don't see the value of this.
Mhm.
But then if they see there's 15 people that also want that,
Mhm.
and suddenly, because it would be like when I would go to wrestling clinics. And I would show up an hour and a half early before that speaker came out so I could have the front and center seat. And I would set my stuff down, get my elbow space, boom, and so I could learn the most. And I would be like the third dude there. I don't know how those other guys, yeah, I'd be the third dude there, but I got to watch Jordan Burroughs up close. I got to see the dude record him the whole 9 yards. I'm like, this is Jordan Burroughs I'm watching, who's telling us how to do this. You know, I got to, you know, Cola, I got to see freaking all kinds. Man, I got to see some of the best wrestling and wrestlers in the whole world up close, and so it was competitive. I mean, every coach was, man, there was no coughing, there was no sneezing, nobody left to go to the restroom. For 2 hours, we were just glued, listening and learning, because number one, we paid a huge amount of money to go. The guy who put on the clinic was amazing, and he would just have gold medal wrestlers from all over Russia and France and Korea and America, and I mean, Kyle Dake, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And so you're paying a bunch of money. There's no doubt about the qualifications of the person talking. Jordan Burroughs.
Yeah,
You know, you're just like,
Yeah.
what? And so people, I mean, man, hour and a half and I was third dude there. So, I mean, there were times I'd be waiting, and the doors would be locked. The hotel staff wouldn't let me in. They're like, hold on, we're still setting up. I'm like, I'll help you set up. I'll put chairs as long as I get the front seat, the front row, dead center. I was trying to make deals with the waiters and stuff, like, I'll pour
Did they
water.
let you in?
Yeah, to let me in. And most of the
Did they
time
let
they,
you in?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I got in a couple times on a couple other ones. Now, there were some that the security was super high, and they were like, no, you can't come in until it's time. So I'd just be standing there. I'd be just standing there, and people would start lining up. I'm like, yeah, you're behind me, dude. Yep, you're behind me. Because I was going to be front and center. So I agree. There's something about the crowd, and if the people are competitive, it's sort of like synergy. All of a sudden there's more energy than there would be if it was just one-on-one. So, yeah, something to think about.
Definitely. I think, yeah, it's something we have to mull over, but
Yeah.
I think we're getting closer than the first time I mentioned stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also like how you're talking about valuing time. Like I value your time more than mine, which I don't know if that's healthy, but
No,
so
I
I'm
think
trying to figure out a good formula.
I think it does matter. So, again, so like the Jordan Burroughs thing. And man, again, you gotta be desperate, all right? So they would have these long talks, and then right after, they would have lunch served. And I would videotape, ask all kinds of questions, introduce myself. I'm like, hey Jordan, Mr. Burroughs. My name's Renee Sanchez. I'm a coach at Mesa Verde High School. Here's my question. It's my turn again. Mr. Burroughs, Renee Sanchez again. I'm gonna ask my question, right? So then after a while, he's like, Renee? I'm like, yeah, right? And then as soon as the thing ended, I would leave my camera, my whole setup, immediately exit, go, and then I knew which table they would seat all the out-of-state coaches.
All right, you're getting creepy.
Yeah, and I would, because the first year I went, oh man, look at all the speakers are over there on that side of the room at this one table. And I can't remember who it was that year, but it was some famous coach from Minnesota. He's like the most winningest coach in college history. It was awesome. I learned so much from him. So I see him way over there, and the next year I said to myself, I'm gonna get as close to that table as I can. As close as I can, and I'm just gonna listen.
So like, dude, where's your food? You're like, I'm not hungry.
Yeah. So I got out, and I accidentally sat at their table. I thought theirs was gonna be the next one. That's where it was last year. I sat down. They all start sitting down, and I'm like, oh my God, they're all sitting down right here. And I'm just trying to be cool. I'm like, yes, hello. And they're like, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Mesa Verde. I'm over Sacramento. And they're like, oh, I'm from France. I'm the gold medal champion of the world. I'm like, nice to meet you. Hello. And so, you know, I figured it out. I'm like, I'll just do this every year. Every year, I'm just going to try to guess which table they're going to be at.
Get as close.
Get as close as possible, and if I luck out, great, and if I don't, what I found was other really great coaches. So maybe it's not the gold medal champ of the world, but
it's another smart guy knowing,
dude,
get close to that table.
yes. And we started recognizing each other, like, oh yeah, you figured it out too, and I would learn as much, if not more, because again, you know, their time was super valuable. Jordan Burroughs would be there for his speech, eat, and then he had to get on a plane and fly out of there, or again. Kyle Dake and others, they would just and bounce. And so, but here I am sitting with this coach from, you know, like the coach from Bella Vista or a coach from Vacaville. So these really big programs that are very, very successful. And now I'm picking their brain. I'm like, hey, how do you handle? That's how I got the split JV varsity thing. That wasn't my brainchild. Somebody out, and I said, oh, so how do you? He goes, well, here's what we do. And then we say, if you want, you can stay for the varsity. I'm like, that's
Genius.
freaking genius.
Genius.
That's genius. Okay, cool. That's what I'm doing from now on. And I learned doing that. So, again, all of this gets back to, if you're in a room of competitive people, it just raises the energy. And though you think my time is more valuable than yours, it's when you're that desperate. Because, again, you could blow this off. You could be at home resting. You could be at home getting ready for the baby. There's all kinds of stuff. So it's okay to be like, man, I'm hungry for this time. I'm desperate for this time. I'll arrange whatever we need to arrange to have this time, because that's the only way to get better, dude. That's what I was doing to those dudes.
Yeah.
And what's funny is they don't mind. Like, I thought,
They probably appreciate it.
right, because and again, I wasn't annoying. I wasn't like, hey,
that's
hey,
the trick too. That's
hey.
more important
Right.
than being smart enough to figure that out.
Right.
Like,
I was like,
you could have blew it at the table
Correct.
instantly.
They would have been like, who is this dude? Why is he
Yeah.
at our table? Get him out of here. Right? But I was cool. And I, by the way, this required me to sort of go, don't make small talk, because, you know, these guys don't really care about small talk. I better know what my number one question is, because I might only get one. So I better really know what I want to ask. I better be super prepared. And I think one of the best compliments I ever got was, I'm sitting and I'm talking with this coach from Florida, and I wish I could remember his name, but he's the most winningest high school coach in all of Florida. And man, this guy's clinic was so cool. I learned so much. So I do the table trick, boom, there he is. We're sitting next, and he's like right next to me. And I asked him the first question. I said, okay, hey, you know, I got these new kids. I got kids that have never wrestled before. And we're going against teams that are badass. We're going to, you know, Bella Vista. We're going against Escalon. We're going against, you know, how do I get these kids to be more successful in the short time frame that I have? They don't do summer wrestling. They've never wrestled before. You know, and he went, man, I've never been asked that. That's a really good, he's like, you know, I've thought a lot about this. And he started writing stuff down. He started writing, and I'm like, oh. And then he gives me that paper, and I'm like, I really appreciate this, man. And he wrote out like moves he would do and practice schedule, to how much minutes he would spend on this, how he does that. I'm like, cool. He goes, you got any other questions? And I'm like, oh yeah. Boom, I asked him another question. He goes, man, nobody's ever asked me that. That tells me you've thought a lot about this. And he starts writing this stuff down. And dude, I learned so much that day from that dude. And again, like you said, he appreciated the question, because it wasn't, how do you handle parents? How do you handle practice?
Yeah, I think honesty and like that hard work just like shines through stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll notice that. I've noticed that when when I'm in a class, like when I was doing the music thing, like, you know the person that really cares by the question they're asking,
Yeah.
you know? But you went way past the 5
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah, it's
so
all good.
I'll stop it here. Later, guys.
Yeah. Hey, like, subscribe.
Yep, you already know. Comment a question if you want it. We didn't get to one today.
I know.